Hello and welcome back to Risingstrings Academy. This is the first episode of a new series I'm calling Sound as Story. Over the 5 past weeks, we built our foundation with tone, balance, shifting and phrasing. And now it's time to take the next step, transforming technique into a voice. Today's focus is on the singing bow, how to make the violin sound alive, not just accurate. We explore how to shape your sound like a breath, how bow speed and contact point change color, and how phrasing turns notes into meaning. Let's start with something simple, like one open string. Play along A, full bow on open A string. Now imagine that sound as an exhale. The start is in the breath leaving your body, the middle is the sentence, and the end is the sigh. That's the phrasing. Every sound must have direction. It should never be flat or static. Try again, but this time shape it. Begin softly, grow to the center, and let it fade away. So we basically played crescendo and diminuendo on one bow. Now let's do the same with each string. Notice how every string has its own voice. G is grounded, D is warm, and A is golden, and E is bright. The bow doesn't force, it just guides the air of the violin. Let's try it together. We're going to play 2 times on each string, and we are going to do as we did before. We are starting very soft, we are building in the middle, and then we are going to exhale to diminuendo at the top. And then we do the same. Start soft, building up, and soft again. So let's try this on every string. Now let's play with color. Take A string and play near the fingerboard. This is called sul tasto. The sound becomes soft distance, almost like a whisper. Now play the same note, but this time close to the bridge. That's called sul ponticello. The sound becomes intense, focused and full of tension. And neither of this is better or worse, they are just colors. Whether you combine bow speed, weight and placement, you start like painter painting different colors. Now let's try this. Slow bow, close to the bridge. That's going to produce a deep sound. Let's try on D string. first try G string 2. Now let's see how A and E string is going to act. Combine bow speed, weight and placement, you start painting different colors. So when we played slower bow close to the bridge, we created a deeper sound. Let's now try faster bow with lighter pressure close to the bridge. Do you hear the different color of the notes? How G string sounds very intense, a little bit scratchy even when I play close to the bridge, but with fast bow. D almost the same, and then it's a little bit better on A and E string, and the tone is becoming floating. So it's up to you to create your own tone where you need it, of course, depending on what kind of musical piece you're playing. If you want a deeper tone, then you have to play closer to the bridge with more pressure, but you need also to be very conscious on which string you're playing, because that's changed from string to string. You can experiment and find out which is the perfect sound for the piece that you're playing. And of course, that will also change during the piece. So every phrase, every part of your piece will need to have a different tone. So try to experiment with that one. Now, let's give our sound meaning. You can play a simple phrase or just a scale and just think about the melody of your scale. Phrase it simply and imagine that you are speaking with that melody. This is your voice, and the first note is introducing, the second note is continuing, the next one is completing the sentence, and so on. So let's try to play the D major scale and use the speed, the weight and the contact point that we talked about before, also depending on which string you play, and see how that will sound with your violin. First, we are not going to play the vibrato, we are just going to phrase without, and then we will add that as a color as well in my next step. I am playing a D major scale from the third position, but you can also play it from the first position if you like to. So the first position we start on open string. And so on. But I will play from the third position. And I will play 4 notes down bow and 4 notes up bow in legato. This is a little bit easier, I think, to begin with when you want to create a phrase that you play in legato. did a very big variation of crescendo and diminuendo now, just to create phrasing and the feeling that we are playing a piece of music. So you can experiment first with just playing crescendo, diminuendo on one bow, or crescendo one bow, diminuendo next bow. You can also try to mix them. You can also decide to play only piano. Depends on the tempo, of course, how much bow you have. You need to think about saving the bow as well when you want to do crescendo, so that you can play the 4 notes at the same bow. Let's start then with one big phrasing. Let's see how it would sound if we start with piano and do crescendo to the top, and then the opposite. We start with piano and do crescendo to the bottom. We still play 4 notes down bow and 4 notes up bow. So that was one big phrase. Now let's do 1 octave crescendo and 1 octave diminuendo. So we start with piano again. Continue with the same, piano, crescendo, 1 octave. And then let's do a mixture of them now. Let's think about different variations. I will start forte this time, and then do diminuendo and then crescendo somewhere in the middle. Just improvise. You can also do a variation of the speed of your crescendo and diminuendo. So you can make a very fast crescendo and then end with forte, or you can do it over 1 octave or 2 octaves. The variations are infinite, so you can try this and experiment. And it's not easy because you are crossing the strings as well, and every string sounds different and needs different pressure and different sounding point. So until now we used only the 3 elements: the bow speed, the bow pressure and the contact point. But now we're going to add the 4th element, the vibrato, which makes the violin sound more like a human voice and is creating this color. And this is a very, very big topic, the vibrato. I have video about this as well, I think a couple of them, so you can go and watch them. Now play the same exercise using a slow vibrato, letting the sound bloom from the bow. So we can start with piano and do a crescendo, maybe a long crescendo. Over 2 octave scale on D major. Try to do vibrato on every note. And also, if you are advanced violinists, try to connect them to each other so you don't play vibrato, stop and play next one, stop and play next one. So we want to hear like one big vibrato. Let's try this. For this tempo and character, I decided to play quite fast vibrato, but you can choose to play slow or also do a different variation of the vibrato. And this is where we can go deeper maybe in another lesson specifically about vibrato. Before we finish, let's try to implement this vibrato and phrasing in Bach's Bourrée from Suzuki's book number 3. In my last videos about back to violin, we played this piece, so if you want you can go back to the videos and find the PDF included in the videos in the descriptions under. So let's try to do these dynamics that are in the book. So it starts with mezzo forte and then we have small decrescendo. That's the first decrescendo and then we continue. These decrescendos are basically telling you how to do the phrasing. So let's play it one more time, the first row. Continue. And then on the second row you see the crescendo, so you have to do, crescendo like this, that you have to do, and then you finish with diminuendo again at the end of the phrase. Shall we try to play all of it together now, so the first and the second line? Start with mezzo forte. So only these two lines you can implement a lot of the things we talked about in the video. For example, the bow pressure, depending on which string you are, as thicker the string is, as more pressure you need to apply. And as thicker the string is, you have to go away from the bridge if you use the pressure, otherwise you will get a scratchy sound. And it's the opposite on A and E. If you want to have more sound, you can play closer to the bridge and have a little bit more pressure on the strings. But of course you need to listen, because it depends on your violin and depends on the pressure, of course, how much pressure you apply. So let's try to also listen to the vibrato. That was the fourth element we talked about. How are we going to make the vibrato in Bach? It's a very big discussion in the music community that you should not play with a lot of vibrato in Bach. But when playing Suzuki, if you are a Suzuki student, they usually playing it quite romantic. So just for the exercise sake, let's play with more vibrato now. But then, of course, if you don't like the interpretation with the romantic vibrato, you can skip it. But for now, just as an exercise, we're going to play with a lot of vibrato. Okay, one more time from the beginning. played 2 more lines. And as you hear, here is also a lot of phrasing. I'm doing the one that is in the music, so I start in mezzo forte again, and then I am doing the decrescendo at the end of the phrase, the end of the line, and then there is a crescendo again and diminuendo, and then I finish quite much in mezzo piano maybe, and then we have to start in forte from the end of the 4th line. Forte again. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this lesson was helpful, subscribe to Risingstrings Academy, tell a friend about this video or other videos, and tell me in the comments what color or what bow did you discover today. Keep listening deeply and keep letting your violin sing. See you in my next